for at least 30 more seconds.
I'll
Hopefully another
believe
30
it when I
seconds
see
after
it.
that.
I agree. I also didn't believe it until I see it.
Well, because we were going to do one a couple weeks ago, and then like the day before, I was like, maybe last week, I was like, Christian, I can't do the show. And she was like, what? Just kidding. I think you assumed we weren't going to.
I like that version where I just went what in a comical fashion, and then
want to be Kathy.
stuff off the desk. But yeah, well, it's happening, and we're talking about attachments. Though we are not attaching any books or essays or anything, right? This is all top of our heads this time.
That's true. Off the dome. Kristen's gone, guys. She's gone. Just I bet she exited the window. This is great. Okay, what do y'all want to talk about? Because Kristen's going to take a second to get back into the show. Welcome back, Kristen. Welcome to OK Banger. Your mic's not on. Ay. So what happened? Fremon, you're not first, unfortunately. We got a couple other people. Oh, you're first on Twitch though. Shout out Twitch. Appreciate you. Uh-oh. Yeah, Kristen left because she's mad at everybody in the chat, specifically you if you're worried about it. Fremon, how's it going over there on Twitch? Appreciate you holding down the fort. Well, I'll give a little bit of an intro to the show while Kristen's getting her life back together. Much like Kristen's internet setup, my life has kind of imploded in the past like a month or so. Kristen, is your mic on? Yes, yeah. You're back.
Okay.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I'm just finished.
I unattached myself from the show, but yeah, my browser crashed. But go on.
That's hilarious. Maybe Kristen can't do the show anymore. That's a bummer. She definitely needs to close some tabs. I think I've seen screen grabs and she just has infinite tabs open. But anyway, so my life has kind of imploded in the past month or so. What's up, Priyanka? And yeah, I'm not going to talk about the specifics of it right now. I probably I kind of need some distance between it and some of the stuff that happened. But I kind of lost someone close to me, and I thought this show would be a good way to kind of talk about feeling bad about specific acute things, but also just trying to feel like less bad in general. I had a plan of just interrogating Christin about Buddhism and attachment, which I'm not Buddhist. I haven't followed the tradition. I've read literature, and that only gets you so far. But as Christin and I were preparing for the show, and I was starting to ask him some questions, already was getting annoyed at her responses. So we'll see how far that goes. Welcome back, Christin.
And I hope that this computer holds up. I'm so sorry for the interruptions.
How many tabs do you have open?
Nothing except this. That's why I'm very confused.
Interesting. I mean, we know that your laptop had RAM issues before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it's that.
Maybe, but it's a specific Chrome browser crashing issue. Okay, here's the thing. I recently switched to using Perplexity Comet, which is a new browser.
This is really funny, and obviously not the plan. So, well, I guess I'll just yap while Kristen figures her life out. Much like her internet, my best perplexity ad I've ever seen. I think she might be in perplexity, and that's what keeps crashing, Isis. That's so funny. Celine, thanks for dropping by. Yeah, dude. So life's kind of weird right now, because also, again, not quite in a place to talk to the internet about it yet, but I got a lot of good things going on in my life too. And so I've had this crazy whiplash of really good things happen, really bad things happen. Obviously, earlier in the year, I shut down my startup. I mean, earlier in the year, like a month and a half ago. And basically, like 2025 has been a pretty whipsaw, like high standard deviation year for me. And I'm like trying to process all of it from a perspective of a guy that like I used to have like I don't know how to say it other than like I used to be pretty like tough in the sense of I did military college, I did the army, I had all of the psychic armor that you need to wear in order to do those things in a focused way and just kind of like deal with really like crappy situations. But the default version of that kind of armor, I would say, is divorced from emotions, not like experiencing them in the context of having and validating and processing things. So it's much closer to a compartmentalization of the different parts of yourself than it is like living in a cohesive whole kind of way. And so I thought this attachment discussion would be a good way to kind of suss that out. But we'll see. Okay, baby. Kristen's internet keeps crashing. And so she comes in and she kind of comically is like, okay, everything's good. And then she disappears 10 seconds later. It's pretty funny, actually. Not what we were planning, but we will see if she sticks around this time. TBD. Somebody start the timer.
Yeah, we'll see how long I can actually last here.
So wait, so are you using Perplexity or no?
Not right now. I'm using Chrome, right? Because I don't want to be experimenting with new software.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like I'm wondering if somehow it's jealous and it's causing Chrome to crash.
Isn't it a Chrome-based browser?
It is, yeah, and normally it's really great. Like I actually like it quite a bit. So that's why I am perplexed by this whole situation.
Rainboot, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you. And Fremon, yeah, exactly. So, Kristen, while you were in the liminal space between on and offline, I briefly talked about how this year's been kind of fucking nuts. And I used to be able to deal with like crazy stuff in my life with like the armor of like army officerness, where it's like compartmentalizing, not feeling things, like shove it down. But now I'm trying to live like a more holistic, combined, like aligned life where I process emotions instead of ignore them. And it's a lot harder in some ways.
Well, yeah, it turns out if you're naked emotionally, it sucks extra.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have like a theory that we've talked about before, but like it's not, I think I can't speak to any other culture besides like, American or like Western men. Like I think Western men have a lot fewer repetitions of dealing with really tough emotions, like by virtue of culture than women in general, just because it's not really like socially acceptable or like hasn't been for a long time for like boys to cry. Does that make sense to you, or am I like barking up a weird tree?
That makes sense to me. In fact, I wanted to ask you if you had time to cry recently, but then
So
like
it's
as a physiological release thing, not even as like a sad, pitiful thing.
so it's interesting. Like when it's hard to dance around like a really like complex emotional subject. Short answer is once I got back to Boston, no. Like I really like maybe like once or twice. It's always like 2 a.m. But like as soon as I like re-entered my life mode and I wasn't in that like somewhere else out of space and time, like doing what I needed to do mode, I like got back into the, okay, I need to like lock in for lack of a better phrasing, which is like not what I actively want to do, but it's, I guess, maybe like my default defense mechanism.
Yeah, which looks really good on the outside for everyone else. Yeah. Which I feel like, this is what I wanted to bring up. Like, because I know that you are trying to hold it all together, like, but then it creates this cycle where you cannot request for your needs to be met. and therefore your needs aren't met, and therefore it creates this vicious cycle, right? And I feel like there's a lot of us growing up where, like, because of circumstances, parents or whatever, like, our needs were not met. So then we decided, well, screw those needs. We don't need any needs. I have
Yeah.
no need for anything. And then that means that we have so many backlog needs that it implodes on us when we need to get stuff done.
Our needs, like I know, is sleep debt real or not? I never. Oh no. Okay. All right, chat. Well, over under on with Kristen's internet breaks down again. Somebody should be running like a poly market on this right now. The so Sam, the tough part is frame on 3 minutes. All right, that like we'll see if she can stay longer next time. Like the tough part, Rainboot, if there's one thing you need to know about me is I always have beverages. Well, not right now because I drank them all, but I like drinks. I like liquids. I'm not a big. I was about to say I'm not a big soup person, and that's broadly true. Just too much volume. Like I'm not a big volume person, but I like little sippy drinks. Yeah, I like sippy drinks. That's why I like liquor over beer because I like the frame on exactly energy liquids. That is my band name actually, Energy Liquids. Holy Trinity of Hydration. What is that, Celine? Well, okay, Isis, I drank this one. And then over there is a glass that's empty. And then I only brought 2 because I wasn't forward thinking. And so I am kind of... Freud would say something about what? The drinks? Something to hydrate, something to stimulate. Oh, yeah. Celine, 100%. That is exactly like I always have a triptych of drinks when I'm doing stuff. Oh, Rainboot, is that a breast milk joke? Good Lord. The whiplash of Christin coming in and out of my life is a good metaphor for my unmet needs, I think. Because Rainboot, if you tee it up, I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna smack that baseball off the tee. All right. So real talk. Yesterday, Christian and I were talking, and we were like, maybe we don't even do a show because we haven't caught up in a long time because we both had a ton of stuff going on. So what if we just like talk like normal friends instead of on the internet? And we went back and forth, like, and so we decided to do it because we also, it's just the oral fixation. It's like I used to have one of those. I never really got chewing on stuff necessarily, but I bite the crap out of my nails, which I think is the same ballpark of disorder. If anybody wants to diagnose that, feel free to in the chat. I like drinks. I'm trying to remember what drinks I have in the fridge right now. I need to stock up. I think I have. Whoa. I just looked at my monitor over here and and like the background, like I like redid my whole monitor setup. I don't know if I can show y'all while I'm on stream because I need to do the cameras, but like I used to just have an ultra wide right here. And now I have a ultra wide plus a little tablet for like chat and stuff like that. And then now I have 3 monitors, and I was looking at my main one, and like, when you're driving in a car for a long time and you're looking at the road and it's like the highway psychosis of like when you get out of the car and then everything keeps feeling like it's moving towards you. My monitor with my background, which I changed to like dark Space Mountain type thing, like synthwave, it was doing that. And I was just like, what is happening with my desktop background? But it in fact was just, I think, highway psychosis, except chat psychosis. Sam, I think that's a good point. the normalcy of doing the show, despite like the extra stuff that's involved in doing it, might like it feels good to be doing this, even though Christin keeps abandoning me at the drop of a hat. You're silent. Your silence speaks volumes, Christin. Okay, baby, you're a nail biter too. I feel like it's much harder. Y'all, I might go need to get like make a drink for this. This is crazy. Highway Psychosis is a good new band name. Good Lord. Y'all, I think if Christin deletes again, I'm just going to go pour myself 2 fingers of whiskey and come back, and we're just going to hang out. Because I am not emotionally prepared for this. I was not emotionally prepared for this. Ay, 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 ay. I just did a kickflip with my phone. I'm gonna see what Christin is. Oh my goodness. Chat, should I start drinking at 11 a.m.? Oh no, Christin. There's a series of frantic Telegram messages from Christin. It's a crash I've never seen before. I'm trying to uninstall new apps I've installed. What's up, Drees? Thanks for dropping in. You are joining us at perhaps our most chaotic show we've ever had. Sam. Ay, ay, ay. I'm not gonna get drunk on stream, but not yet. We gotta have a bigger audience for that. But this is a lot of bouncing and a lot of vamping while Christin figures her life out that I was not expecting, which is pretty funny. What are y'all up to? I just don't really have much to fill the airtime. I can yap more. So we were going to talk about attachment. And what Christin... So basically, like before the show, I was like, Christin, what do you want to talk about with attachment? And then Christin was just like, well, I'm only going to answer your questions with questions because that's how we talk about attachment. And Christin, you can give your opinion for 5 more seconds before you go away again.
Seriously. Oh, well, let's not get attached to devices working as you expect them to.
Real.
Oh man, now I'm too afraid to touch any button. But yeah, like I think you were saying how I was like, oh, I'm gonna answer your questions with more questions, right?
Yes.
Because I feel like at least in the last like 5 conversations we've had, like there's been this awkward dance where I'm like, well, I want to help you, make you feel better in some way.
Yeah.
But I realized that you asked me questions, and then it's like that meme you shared where you ask an expert a question, and then you're like, okay, like I'm like, well, that's not helpful for you or for me. So I must change the way I deliver any messages.
Well, so my question there is it because you have such a nuanced opinion about it that it's hard to explain, or like what's the hang up?
I think that there's like a skill issue. Like even if I, have an answer, I don't think I'm reaching people the way I want to reach them. Well, specifically you. I think you're an extra hard case. Because I know that whatever I say will be rejected by your ego because I'm trying to point to the ego. And I don't mean it in like a, big ego conventional way. I mean it in like a self-identity process sort of way.
Yeah.
And that's what I've noticed is that my teachers, the way they do it is so gentle that you don't even realize they're doing it. But it takes like many, many years of interaction to figure out what the heck they're pointing to.
But what is the it that you're talking about?
The it is the idea that camera needs to be responsible for the whole world. Because that is itself the attachment. Therefore, whenever I point to it or allude to it, that you don't need to do that, blah, 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 it will not go through because then I will cause that idea to die. So it will do anything to defend itself.
Can I poke you? Mm-hmm. When I'm asking these questions, I'm not asking a different question by asking this question.
Mm-hmm.
Like I appreciate you as a friend and I care about you a lot, but I
Mhm.
don't need you to make me feel better. And nor am
Mhm.
I asking that, nor do I think I really want that.
Mhm.
Like when I ask you like a definitional question, it's because I want to understand your understanding of that definition because like if I'm trying to become enlightened via the path of Buddhism, like I will state that up front. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not like a hidden goal that I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't even want you to go along that path or whatever. I don't think it's for everyone. But like in order for me to because it's like it's tricky, right? 'Cause sometimes, people want to share stuff because,
Yeah.
they would just want to share it, right? But then there's also like, if there is an alternative way, is it my responsibility to point out that this might be another way? And I understand sometimes it's
I've decided that whenever Kristen gets deleted, it's because the internet doesn't like her opinion. And so we'll just like keep that in the back of your mind whenever she starts explaining something and disappears. But so here, since she can't defend herself, I'm going to push back. So I've been sitting in Sam, I do need a Korean barbecue day. That would be nice. That would be nice. I think hugs do help. We are creatures of our body. Does anybody know who Andy Anderson is? He's a pro skater. He's wild. If you haven't seen Andy Anderson, go look up, especially his street skating. It's like like gravity doesn't affect him the same. But he's gotten like famous doubly because he's a pro skater that always wears a helmet, which in skateboarding, because like I grew up skateboarding, I stopped after I like broke my thumb in like middle school, but but he always wore a helmet. And notoriously, like young kids that wear helmets on skateboards get dunked on, which is stupid because your brain's really important. And so he has simultaneously become this like skating phenom. Tony Hawk and all these dudes are like, dude, you're incredible. But he's also like, I don't know, I think even cooler because he's making wearing a helmet also cool, which is literally saving lives and like preventing brain injury and whatever. And he says this thing that like your brain is you, dude. Like if you break your brain, you're gone, which is factually true, but also spiritually true. And so I've been like, I think that's a roundabout way of me saying hugs are a way of validating your physical body, which is also you, which I appreciate. Let me catch up on this chat for a second. Yeah, I might just have to give Kristen's answers, but I don't want to be super rude. Isus, a new food I found recently. I don't think I've tried explicitly new things recently, but I did find out that Chick-fil-A has a breakfast burrito, and I love Chick-fil-A. I like breakfast burritos. A Chick-fil-A breakfast burrito, while it could be like another inch in diameter for my taste, like it's pretty solid. Yeah, cool beans. Exactly. Like Andy Anderson's sick. The 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 problem with what perhaps rain boot, but then that begs the question: where's the signal originating from? Like I do buy the you are the universe experiencing itself like kind of methodology. But big picture, I've been trying to figure out where I sit with everything. And, I was raised Catholic. I grew up in that tradition, but I grew up a Catholic in the South. So I really grew up with Catholicism and Southern Baptist Christianity. And then I've explored a lot of other faith traditions, mostly through reading their texts, some through talking with like individuals that actually practice it today. But that's kind of hard because everybody's wrapped up with the baggage of like, most people are not emotionally mature enough to ask hard questions about or receive hard questions about their faith, especially from somebody that isn't in it. And I'm not gonna pretend I'm the most tactful person when it comes to that, because like I just want to know the answer. And so I've explored a lot of different like faith traditions, and ultimately, I don't think faith is for me as like a concept. And so the thing that I kind of go back to is more on the philosophy side of like I'm a real I don't know what I would describe it because I'm not like a believer, but I read I reread the Myth of Sisyphus every like year or so as a this is the these are my friends. Welcome back.
I missed the Kung Fu Panda snark. Now I want to catch up.
I was talking about faith traditions, and Sam recommends that I ignore all of them and just watch Kung Fu Panda again.
It's actually, yeah, I would say it's got a lot of accurate parts.
I mean, like, I like the movie. So, Rainboot, I don't listen to scientists' take on religion. Like, I think...
Me neither.
Yeah, speaking of Sisyphus, yeah. Well, Chris, I'm actually... I don't listen to scientists because I think that the cost of becoming an expert in your domain is the sacrifice of expertise across a lot of other things. Almost always. I think there's like individuals that can be, polymaths kind of in that sense, but like the better you are at one thing in science, the more I'm squinting at the other things that you're saying. What do you feel about that?
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. That's a good point. But I was thinking about how whenever I see a scientist type try to talk about religion, like I feel bad for them because I'm often actually cornered into this case where people are asking how do you justify like religion using science and what commonalities do you see in it, which is a reasonable question, right? But then what in order to answer that question you end up making these like post hoc assumptions, like you're using, because scientists found that your brain lights up in a certain way when you meditate, therefore meditation works, but that is actually backwards. And I don't know why no one has noticed that. I feel like it's still a very popular thing to do.
Can you say more about that? I don't think I understand what you're saying, but I want to hear more texture.
Yeah, so I get sent links from friends, well-meaning friends about this as well. They're like, hey, like you're a neuroscientist. Here's another neuroscientist who has talked about the benefits of meditation, like through the lens of like scientific like things you can measure while someone's meditating or something like that.
Yeah.
But then the issue is that always has to be by definition a justification, where you are searching for evidence in order to prove this theory. So it's sort of like the whole like you lost your keys and you keep looking under the lamp because that's the only place you can see where you can find your keys. Like
Right.
that's what ends up happening. So even if there is truly a mechanism for meditation or whatever, you're actually much more likely to miss it because you already came in with the assumption that, oh, I'm going to find a way to prove that meditation works. Whereas I feel like these like circumstantial kind of evidence ends up being more interesting to me, where it's like no one's looking for anything related to meditation, but they just like observe something by coincidence. That's actually a more like pure way of approaching science.
Okay, a lot of things in there. The circumstantial evidence to me, like what it screams to me is Christin just likes stories.
Huh?
Like by circumstantial, do you mean you're going on a walk and then you find like a bug and then you categorize it like circumstantial? Like, actually, I don't think I understand what you mean.
Like you ask a different scientific question that's not related to what you're assuming in the first place, like a more broad question, so that you're not like asking a question like a priori, right, where you already
Can
have
you
certain.
make it tangible for? Wah, 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 wah. Dial it back, Cameron. Well, I'm being reprimanded by the chat. Sam, what do you mean? The Sam, I do feel that way about founders too. I think there are things that make sense across different domains. So if you like grow a company by like doing paid marketing on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, I believe that you can probably come up with a good paid marketing plan for a different kind of company using the same techniques. But if you're like a master of, I don't know, consumer social, like the better you are at that, the less I care about your opinion for like, B2B SaaS, like selling, software to businesses. Because I think you end up anchoring to the things that you are comfortable with and confident in, and like it's like the classic, once you have a hammer, everything's a nail, right? Celine. So I think faith within the structure of a religion versus outside of the structure of religion is roughly the same to me. I think that, I don't want this to come across as dismissive to religion, because I want everybody to have what they need to go through the world in kind of like a sane and coherent way. Like it's like the world is hard, and whatever you want to have as your structure for your reality, go for it. To the extent that you're not infringing on other people's, like right to do so. But like all of it is window dressing and like furniture in the dollhouse around the core thing, which is like, hey, I think that there's a thing beyond what I can like see and understand, and I like trust that to be true, and therefore everything else that comes after that is like downstream of that. Sam, I appreciate that. The definitely not trying to be dismissive of Christin, especially like she feels terrible that she can't be on this stream right now, and so like we're joking around, and she probably is getting feels like that's an extra rock in her rucksack that she doesn't need, but we'll address it if/when she gets back. The So on like the myth of Sisyphus side, the thing that I reread it because it's like a thing that, like, one, it's good writing, and I always just enjoy rereading good writing. The And so like that's one piece of it, but like the core idea in the myth of Sisyphus is that there's something fundamentally incoherent about the nature of our existence. And so that incoherence is that thing that you feel, which is a dissonance in, the moments and hours and days of your life where you're like, hey, I really want to organize my desk. But organizing your desk is just preceding your desk becoming messy again. And so there's like an insanity, like what he calls an absurdity to the like desire to do things, not just like put things in order, but to like live your life. Because we're all gonna die. Like that is a stamp that was stamped on your paperwork when you were born, that there was going to be an end to it. And if there is guaranteed an end, and as far as we're aware, there always is, how do you make the part of it that like happens between birth and death mean anything? Or does it not mean anything? And the question of like faith and religion is kind of a process of trying to grapple with that fact and ultimately end up on like, yes, there is meaning in some way. And like maybe that meaning's an afterlife, or maybe that meaning is like something, more here. Like every faith tradition has their different interpretation of that meaning. But basically all of them come to the conclusion that there is meaning. And then here's why. The myth of Sisyphus doesn't take that approach. It like analyzes it, turns it around, it, critiques parts of it, but it mostly just describes the meaning making as an attempt to like justify existing. Because what Albert Camus, who's the author, is really trying to figure out is, should he kill himself or not? Like, if life is fundamentally dissonant and absurd and it can't achieve a coherence that we really like want it to have, like, why shouldn't you kill yourself, right? And the like, why shouldn't you, or is there a compelling reason to? And that's hard. Like, but you know, in a roundabout way, he basically comes to the conclusion that the act of rebelling against the absurdity, event after event, action after action, Sam, the the whole point is the rebellion, is his conclusion. Like, you can't deny the absurdity, you can't deny the incoherence. Any attempt to justify the incoherence as actually being coherent isn't valid. It is just cope, essentially. And like, you're more than welcome to do that, but he's advocating for facing the dissonance of life with a lucidity about, like, hey, there is no hope of making it more coherent. And once you sit in that like acceptance and lack of hope, despair isn't the default outcome to that. It's, oh, sitting in this lucidity means like, I just want to, like, I want to, need to, I'm compelled to accrue a quantity and quality of experiences so that I just keep doing different things as like an inherent act of rebellion against the fundamental conflict that is existence. So yeah, it's embrace the chaos, but not in like a rah-rah way, but in a like, okay, yeah, this is just what it is, and that doesn't mean that everything has to be terrible. It doesn't mean that I get to pretend that everything's good. It's just kind of landing on it is what it is. Hey. And so for me, that's always been weirdly comforting. Like, it's not asking me to pretend. It's not asking me to like put on a costume or mask or like be in like a tradition with a bunch of rules. It's like, hey, the thing that you feel in your heart of hearts where there's like a dissonance in your life that is in conflict with what you really want to be true, which is like things have meaning and make sense and like the good guy wins or whatever that means. Like, it's the only real acknowledgement of that dissonance without immediately trying to make, like, the author immediately trying to make themselves feel better about it. And again, I'm not trying to like be dismissive of religions. Like, I'm just a dude. I don't know everything. But for me, every angle through which I've like viewed faith traditions ends up back at this crossroads of like, hey, you just want me to take something on faith. And that's just, I'd like to believe that like it's a choice, but it really feels like something hardwired in me of, you know, that it just doesn't make sense to me. And I don't like, it's too exhausting to pretend like it does, if that makes any sense. Oh man. Anyway, what are y'all doing today? That's what I'm doing. Grappling with that most of the time. Anybody having good food lately? Sam, yeah, it is kind of like a bus meme, like, you know, there is no meaning. Oh. Yeah, Celine, I think that's right. Sam, I love that for you. I'm assuming the TikTok is about candles. Do you have an idea for it, or are you just doing it live? Also, what else am I going to do today? I might mow the yard. Hell yeah. Sam, I know you've been doing all of this, these conversations with other people in like CPG, like consumer packaged goods. How's that been going? Sam, nice. Celine, you're a designer, right? Are you like actively in the middle of a project right now? I also, if I have the okay, baby, making connections in the chat. Everything's coming together. The Sam, easy as that. Just learn how to make money. Too easy. I have, I'll probably upload a couple poems to littlefeelings.com and update that. I don't think I've done enough to like warrant another newsletter update with it. And also, I don't know if I have it in me. I also might, like, I wrote a collection of poems when I was avoiding everybody at FarCon earlier this year. And I really want to self-publish that in like a volume. But it's a little intimidating because I haven't self-published a book before. And so I don't know if I have the energy, I might do that. Yeah, Sam, it's just tough because life doesn't stop like that. That's like, I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here complaining from a position that like 5 years ago I would have been overwhelmed with joy to be sitting from. And so I'm trying not to lose sight of that. It's just like a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff has been going on. Selena, yeah. Like talking about attachment, being attached to persona, yeah. Like it's a lot of weight to put on yourself to not just like, I mean, artist designer, that's a big rock to carry in your rucksack, but just all of the things involved with being something. It's just a lot of dancing. You know what I mean? Well, so this is really what I wanted to get into it with Christin, not like fight, but not having attachments is all well and good when you're talking about your phone or like, just like the things we do to self-soothe. But the logical conclusion of that is not having interpersonal relationships, right? And not having interpersonal relationships seems like it might be good for the Buddha, but not like for people that are trying to live life in this, dissonant existence. And so not having interpersonal relationships, not liking things, not loving things, all of those are attachment, right? Or like having a sense of self that that like empowers you to do the things that make your life better or that make the lives of people that you care about better. Like all of those things are attachment. And so I like wanted to poke that a little bit. And I feel bad because I think Christin, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she's not here to defend herself. And so the challenge is like, I just want to ask her about Buddhism stuff, but then I think she ends up de facto feeling like she needs to defend this thing, which she isn't, fully aligned with. She obviously like cares about it and is brilliant and is extremely capable, but like, I don't know how to ask my questions in a way that doesn't make her feel like I'm questioning her as a person. I'm just like trying to ask, you know what I mean? You have any ideas? Okay, baby, I appreciate that. So I actually like, yes, I agree with that characterization, but I'm also questioning the idea itself of achieving higher planes of spiritual existence. In the same way that I would question devoting your entire life to, I don't know, like building a bajillion-dollar company or whatever, like they're relatively like valid paths to living your life. And I want people to pursue the things that they want. But like the idea of achieving more spiritual enlightenment, whatever that means, at the expense of these other things, like material things, yes, but like I'm made of material. I'm a bag of meat. Like at the expense of the material things that I do think are fundamentally good, which is like love and care and appreciating other people. That doesn't feel like worth it to me, especially in the context of like, I don't think that there's a higher plane of spirituality. Like you don't get an extra reward. I don't believe really in like a samsara or like reincarnation or anything like that. And so it's like the like for why, for what, why, like if you want to do it, great, but like you can't, There's no objective way to say that it's better. You know what I mean? Sam, yeah, Sam, that's great. Yeah, Chris, I don't think she feels it either. I just wanted to talk about it today. Oh. Who knows? Let's see if I got any Telegram messages from her. No stress, Christin. We're vibing. Autocorrect keeps fixing that. Maybe Christin will hang out in the chat. Then we can go through, and then she can chirp at me from the chat. That'll be fun. Well, so okay, baby. Maybe this is like an ego thing, and I appreciate everybody in the chat, but like, I don't need other people to agree with my perspective on stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm not doing this to persuade. I'm not doing this to be understood. I'm like, I don't know, maybe this is like kind of dickish, but like I'm asking questions so that I can understand better. And to the extent somebody else wants to participate in that and it's valuable for them, awesome. But if they don't, it doesn't bother me if they don't want to. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We might not be talking about the same thing because there's a lot of signal lost between like yapping at a camera and chat responses. So I'm not 100% sure where your head's at. But yeah, so like I've been sitting in this, every act of doing something you want to do is in fundamental rebellion with the universe. And that for me is just, that's egotistically appealing because I like the idea of rebelling because we talked about before, I'm reflexively rebellious with things. But I also haven't come across a better way to describe how I feel about stuff. And it's not like rebelling out of spite. It's like rebelling in the sense of, well, maybe it is out of spite. It's like out of spite. It's out of non-toxic spite to the inherent unfairness of being born. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, so that helps me do stuff because it kind of like takes away some of the sting of the bad chemicals in my brain. Sam, I don't think that there is I think aligning with the universe is how do you say that? Anthropomorphizing something that doesn't give a shit about you, cosmically or not. Like it doesn't not give a shit about you. It is a expanse of meaninglessness, right? And so the meaninglessness cannot be aligned with, but the state of the universe of being fundamentally absurd is the thing that you can fight against. Is I think how I would describe it with a vibe. Sam, I'm glad that you were born too. But the fact that we're glad about it means nothing is probably the asterisk that I would have in there. Christin, are you here? I hear voices. Hello.
Hello from my phone.
Let's go. It works.
Well, it works for now.
Real deal. Imagine your phone just crashes.
But yeah, this is not guaranteed, but at least I'm trying something different.
It's good react to contact here. I just spent the last 15 minutes dragging you, so sorry about that.
Oh, I love that. Actually, I was hoping that since, I got cut off in the middle of all my rebuttals, that you would suddenly just like flip to argue on my side so that I don't have to do any work.
No, we were doing a couple. Well, actually, firstly, most important thing is when I said you just like stories, did that bother you? Because I want to apologize if it made you feel bad.
No, but it was like a non sequitur because I was just like,
I was confused.
That wasn't what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so I'd like if you still have the train of thought, would love to hear the end of it.
So I was trying to say how, yeah, if you look for something, you're going to find it, right? That's the fundamental flaw of a lot of these studies.
I don't think I agree with that premise, but I hear you.
Or like there's a bias that's unacknowledged. How about that? Because it's like right now, there's enough papers on every single topic where if I search for any random hypothesis, I'm going to find some support for what I think is happening, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's the same thing when you try to like link up too much like of science with religion. Like you are going to find some like relationship between the two, but it doesn't mean that one is the cause of the other one or something like that.
So saying that back to you,
Hmm.
lots of things about the world are true in varying degrees.
Hmm.
Science is a way to quantify that or attempt to quantify that.
Hmm.
The problem is something might be good at like defeating cancer, but it also might be bad for you in other ways. And so like there's tons of those tensions in scientific evidence.
Uh, sure.
But so like basically what we're talking about is since truth, capital T, lowercase t, is kind of relative and it depends on how you're asking the question and the time of day and all these other things. Science is like fundamentally flawed for the thing that people are trying to ask about when they're asking about religion.
Correct. It's the wrong instrument. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really nice. I think it's really nice to be able to generate this data, but it doesn't get at the core of the question, which is like the big capital T truth and you know whether something's real or not, whether something's worth all of your time. That can
Yeah.
only be through your personal experience, I think.
I don't think I follow that leap, but I do agree that whenever somebody's trying to use science to justify religion, I'm like, bro, we're having such a different conversation. We probably
Hmm.
shouldn't even start talking.
Yeah, I think we agree on that front.
Yeah.
So now I'm
Um,
curious how every time I pop back, I mention Sam mentioning about how we're all really sexy, and I can never understand how you guys got there.
I I cannot attempt to hazard a guess at the depths of Sam's mind.
Oh, okay.
They'll explain themselves or they won't.
Mm.
That is the mythology of Sam.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, cool beans. Yeah, cur fitting the data. Okay, so Kristen, I'm trying to remember because I kind of blacked out for the past 20 minutes. I
Is
talked a
that
lot about
true?
the moderately
Well, I
the
understand. That's how I feel when I'm to solo a show too.
yeah the I mentioned the I don't get the reference, Sam. Isus miso soup is a soup that I will never say no to. I could be in the most compromising position, but I promise you, I'll say yes to miso soup.
Yeah.
It's such a good all around like it. Maybe the top generalist soup.
Mm, I agree. It
Like
is good. It's
definitely
also
first round
really
draft
fast to
pick.
make with those instant packets.
So say that again.
Oh, it's like really fast to make miso soup if you have those instant packets.
I didn't. I mean, like obviously, insert white guy joke here. I didn't know that they had miso soup packets, but obviously they do.
Oh, oh man, I'm gonna change your life.
Yeah. Send me
um,
more of those pain packets. Like that literally changed my life.
oh, the pain patches.
Yeah. Yes. Those are so good.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
glad. So these are pain like it's like Japanese like Salonpas patches, which are you can usually get in Costco and places like that. But this is like a special one that's only available in Japan and Singapore for some reason with a different chemical in it.
yeah, I want
That's a
that
lot
one.
stronger.
Give me the imported drugs.
Okay, all right. I'll mail you more.
The
But I wanted to ask you, like, speaking of attachment, what are you what are you hoping to let go of?
so I didn't really want to let go of anything like other than the like right before you got back on, we got onto the subject of the logical conclusion of attachment equal bad is foregoing all social relationships. Or one of the logical conclusions is foregoing human relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have this issue with the fundamental assumption of attachments equaling bad, I can't apply it to other aspects of my life or like in the way that you would
So,
like simplistically do it.
but I want to clarify, like, it's not that social relationships and attachment to that is bad. It's attachment to the fact that you want the relationship to last forever and ever and always be good is bad.
So temporary attachment is fine.
Yeah. That is one of the fundamental like misunderstandings of like Buddhist beliefs is that like if you take on the surface it seems like okay then everything is bad therefore you should not be of the world, but that's not actually true because by demonstration like there was tons of social relationships in the Buddhist time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's that the attachment is only to that wanting of permanence.
Oh.
Which is
yeah,
like,
no, then I'm on that page. That's fine.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean I feel like that should be in the same sentence.
Right? I know.
That's a pretty important like clarifying. Oh, well, I mean, so but then also the problem is that it kind of becomes useless because like what's the difference between the negative attachment being temporary, you know what I mean? Like and not. Like if I'm attached to my phone, am I really upset because one day 1,000 years in the future I'll lose my phone? It's like no, because the baseline attachment is also bad because it's a demon magic rectangle.
Right, and it's just because like we attach to the feeling good that we feel when we use the phone.
But what's the difference between the feeling good between that and interpersonal relationships?
There is, because it's acknowledging that like having good relationship with other people is a wholesome desire, and that's okay. And I feel like that's another like subtlety that's lost somewhere in the translation. Is that there's not like no desire. You can have like good, skillful desires that don't cause more suffering.
But what's the difference? What makes one wholesome and one demon?
Whether it makes you suffer or not. And
but that's tautological.
The tricky part is that like there's so many layers of suffering that a lot of things can feel good in the moment or even in long term, but like ultimately do not lead to a good outcome.
Okay.
And this is like the part where it's like it is very personal. It's up to you.
Okay. I mean, I can get behind that Buddhist libertarianism, but okay, so my question then becomes, what is suffering? Or is that just a personal definition too?
Suffering is attachment to what is inconstant. Which is almost everything.
But that definition inconstant. Would be personal relationships too.
Right. So, but then it's like so therefore, like if you can enjoy a relationship and not be suffering on the level of like, loss, therefore you will get all the good parts of a relationship, right? It's sort of like tautological in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay if the answer is it's tautological because then I'll just be like, okay, cool, that's not for me.
Right. So like, but it's sort of like the continual suffering comes from like the loss itself, right? So it's sort of like, but we don't want to like completely skip over grief and loss either.
Sure.
But then like it's almost like there is no like mystical element to it. It's actually a logical argument that less suffering comes from losing something you love.
Yeah.
So therefore, like
Don't
Like
love
that
anything.
is no, but it's like you still love, but then you know what I mean. It's not like throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of situation. But like it's also not an easy answer. I think that's why it's really frustrating, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Um,
think like
and Celine, what does Buddhists have to say about blockchain's permanence? I mean, you don't have to be Buddhist to recognize that it's not that permanent.
yeah,
How many
like
times have blockchains gone wrong?
I mean, ultimately the computers will crumble into dust is what I think a theologian would say.
Hmm.
The other thing, it, it's not about maybe it's not about being black or white. And I
Hmm.
think the challenge there is like there's a difference between like living in shades of gray and then being self-consistent.
Hmm.
And so like the way that I talk is, and like the way that I ask questions and how direct I am and frankly how rude I am sometimes, apologies Kristen,
Hmm.
comes across as me being obsessed with black and white, but I really do think it is much more trying to
You're trying to find the underlying like
the
consistent
thing, the
theory.
base, the foundation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, me too.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm not saying that like this is like it's not an exclusionary thing, but like
hmm.
my mannerisms are downstream of that goal and my biological machinery.
Hmm.
Which is a very convenient thing to say if you're an asshole and want to keep being an asshole, and I acknowledge that. Like, I don't think I'm an asshole, but I definitely can be.
Well,
Okay,
I don't think you are.
well, I appreciate that, but you've also had 100 hours of conversation with me, and so
Oh.
like you get the embedded context in what we're saying.
Yeah, but you're so bad at being an asshole.
I mean,
Well, I think that you have a skill
bet
issue.
the like I know thousands of people literally that would disagree with you. I was pretty good at being an asshole at
Mhm.
VMI.
Oh,
Um,
speaking of BMI, I think like that's the other like attachment issue like in the Buddhist framework, right? It's like, there's impermanence, but the other one is like the idea that our sense of self is not true, which is a very hard thing to explain, and also because I'm not good at explaining it, and also I'm not fully understanding it either, right?
sure.
um but like I think like that's the other like commonality, is that the more I identify things happening as my fault, the more I suffer, right? So therefore, like letting go of that identification without letting go of responsibility is also the really like narrow tightrope situation, or like one that requires a lot of skill.
Saying that back to you, it's really easy to blame yourself for everything. It's really easy to blame yourself for nothing, but in between, which is probably closer to reality, is hard to live in.
Correct. And I like how Celine said it too. It's like complex concepts are hard to explain in absolute terms and language. I'm like
Hard disagree. Hard disagree. If you can't explain a concept simply, I think you should default assume it's not actually being explained. Like, I think the burden of proof is on the person explaining it, and if they can't, you just got to assume that they're wrong.
I disagree with that, because I think there is a level of transmission that's possible where like both, it's sort of like both you and I had like experience of like hanging out together or something, right? And for me to be able to explain the joy and friendship I had with hanging out with you in words, freaking hard. But I know that you know. And that is sufficient.
But that's a different thing. Like in the idea of like that's not saying
I feel like everyone has a
something
lot of great
isn't.
questions for you that I don't even know how to answer.
Say that again.
Oh, people have great questions for you.
Yeah. So like the 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 context obviously matters, but if somebody is trying to explain something to you,
Hmm.
like, and they land on, oh, it's just pretty complicated, not like that's on them. That's not on you. A says, how do you discover new things? You have operating assumptions, but good science doesn't assume the previous science still works. Like good science assumes that the previous science should have, like, might have flaws in it. And so like when they discover things, they look back at the original science too. What's your take on that? Because you're a scientist. I'm not.
I do agree with that. I understand where you're coming from. Um, I feel like, I can point to like people who attempt to explain like Buddhism in super technical terms. Like, so there's this guy called Mark, his website's like meditation stuff or something like that, where he has this whole extremely long, like 1-page HTML that breaks down the logic of Buddhism as technical debt that you are actually trying to untangle through practice.
Okay.
And he uses tons of technical words. I feel like you would love it. I actually have a hard time understanding it. And that's one way of approaching it. And it's like the way you appeal to analytical heads like you. But eventually, I feel like it gets, and then everything becomes really heady. The perception is limited to concepts. And therefore, like in terms of sensory apparatus with which we are interacting with the world, then there is a loss of fidelity in the body and in like other levels of perception that are non-material. And therefore, it becomes like you see really well, but in one dimension. And like there are other dimensions that exist, but these other dimensions are not within the realm of language. And
Sure.
it's really hard to convince, like it's almost like I'm like, by the way, you have a sixth sense. It's like sort of like that kind of thing where,
Yeah.
like it becomes woo really, really quickly.
Yeah. So
But
I
we cannot
definitely,
deny that there may exist other senses that we are just beginning to understand. I think that recently there was a paper that came out. I don't know how legit this paper is. I do know it's peer-reviewed to some extent, which says something like, oh, actually, like some cells in your brain are emitting light that's really hard to perceive without machinery. And then we're all like, huh, that's interesting. Like, why? What is the point of certain cells in the brain emitting light when no one can see it?
mm-hmm.
But it opens up a whole like idea that, oh, maybe there is like some kind of like sensory input sort of thing that is beyond mechanisms we know. But the only way we can like reach these leaps is if we're willing to accept that, oh, maybe there is another level of sensory input that we don't understand. Kind of like how snakes can see UV or whatever, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I buy that. I think that like,
oh yeah, Celine brings up the same thing. Insects perceiving a wide range of colors. Yeah, that kind of thing.
So like I buy that conceptually.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing that I disagree with is that like there like you said, there's a woo-woo version of it. And then there's the, hey, this is science we haven't unpacked yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so like where I kind of have an issue is with people that like explain it with the thing that isn't the same like explanation structure. Like I'm very comfortable being like, hey, we got this light cell emitter thing in our brain. It doesn't really make sense for that to happen for no reason because it's wasted calories. But we don't know the reason yet. But eventually we'll figure something out that explains it, and then maybe that lets us be telepathic. Like I genuinely think that is a thing that is in the realm of possibility.
Right. Whereas if we talk about aura cameras, I'm like, oof. Like, like that's why it's like really hard for like woo-woo people and like analytical people to have a dialogue, because I think sometimes then they go off the rails and I'm like, okay, now we're not in the same reality anymore.
Yeah. I mean, but like that's what like I had a little bit of a monologue about like faith, like people with like capital F faith and not, while you were in the liminal space, and the
and like uninstalling and reinstalling what's happening.
Yeah, crazy.
It's still unresolved. I'm so sorry.
Next time you don't need to do all of that. Like you could just get on your phone. It's okay.
Well,
The
like to be honest, it didn't occur to me until I was like, hold on, because I didn't realize that EV Mux works with the phone. I thought it just didn't allow me to log in with the phone altogether. Good to
mm,
know.
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Celine, do you mean like telepathy tapes? Is
Yeah,
that?
it was like an astral projection type thing. Like it's been a minute since I looked into that, but you know, I've had a special interest rabbit hole of kind of like the hallucinogenic
Mhm.
crew over the past 50 years, and like I'm kind of much more Occam's razor. Hey, a lot of people are just getting high as fuck, and like
Mhm.
that's a thing, and those experiences can change people's like relationship with themselves and the universe
Mhm.
in the same way that all experiences can, because it makes you like feel and process and look at things with different perspectives.
Yeah.
And like I actually used to really adamantly believe that drug induced experiences were inherently meaningless, because
Mhm.
the only things that have meaning are like when you're moving through like physical space.
Mhm.
I don't believe that anymore, because I don't really believe in meaning in the same way. But also, I just kind of realize, like things like our brain creates meaning, not that there is objective meaning to grasp and ungrasp.
Mhm.
And so, and so, like but the other logical conclusion that I came to is like, oh, if I think fully mental experiences aren't as valid, then I basically just said anybody in a wheelchair like fundamentally lives a less valuable life. And I didn't want to have that be part of my perception of the world. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I like that just wasn't a view that I wanted to continue to hold.
Right. Right. And chat is going on about gateway tapes, and I'm like, this is beyond my level of knowledge.
Have at it.
Y'all are experts on that.
Like I love like I love stories.
Right.
Like they're
Oh, I was gonna go on an aside about stories,
okay.
but I feel like we're not talking about the same thing. So I want to hear what you're gonna say. But I just wanted to add that, like, for in terms of like attachment to stories and that being a level of suffering, like you can literally see me doing it, right? Like whenever I'm sad or upset about something, it has to do with me being attached to some story about how I should be or shouldn't be, what I should have done or what I shouldn't have done,
By
right?
story, you're
Like my self
describing
story.
self narratives.
Exactly, the internal
Okay.
narrative,
Not
right?
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, exactly. I think I meant different kind of story, but like that's the other like point of attachment that Buddhism and other religions are trying to point to is like I'm suffering because I'm attached to that story, it's a self narrative, and thinking that is reality. Because in my mind, it's just as real as reality, right?
What do they so like if that is not reality, then what is their reality?
It could be something looser. I don't we don't even have to point to it like some absolute reality here, right? But it's sort of like it doesn't serve me. In as you have noticed, like I usually my performance becomes even worse when I'm attached to certain stories. So that's the level of unattachment. That's more practical for most people. Is
I'll poke.
recognizing when I've created a story of how I should be, shouldn't mean, shouldn't do.
I mean, you're coming dangerously close to saying your feelings are invalid, though.
So feelings and stories are different layers.
Okay.
The feelings are real, but the stories, it's sort of like, how like lately I've been having this like weird heart issue, right? Um, so I've been skipping caffeine. So this is Christin without caffeine. You can see it's more obvious in the phone camera. Decrepit. Um, but like,
Sam, come back in. Sorry,
but
continue.
like, so and for me, like the heart physiologically feeling bad, sometimes I mistake that as like, oh no, something is wrong with the world, or like, I'm anxious about something.
Impending doom, blah blah
Impending
blah.
doom, right? But impending doom, as you know, is actually a physiological feeling. So therefore, if I'm able to relate to, oh, like your heart feels bad, my heart feels bad, that is actually a truer layer of reality than I'm actually, I screwed up something and therefore my heart feels bad. You know, like I add a layer of story on top of what's actually happening.
You're advocating for stripping out the causal layer, at least at first?
The story layer, the narrative layer. You know what I mean? Because it could be 1,000 issues, right? But
Yeah.
like a lot of times the suffering happens because I'm interacting with the story layer, self-narrative layer. And as you know, it can go very, very imaginative.
Well,
But it
so
doesn't actually serve what is actually truly happening, which we know it's like physiological stuff is happening, or like, you know, that kind of thing.
but what about in the case where there actually is an actual cause to it, and that is the reason that thing is happening?
Like and that's good, but I'm just saying that like a lot of times it's never 100%. You know, I'm always like, no matter what I do in life or what a lot of people do in life, there's always an additional story layer, right? Because it's like almost like that's the way we like make sense of the world. Like everything has to be coherent. Therefore, the
Yeah.
brain is like constantly, almost like an LLM, it's constantly confabulating what's actually happening. And like the more we do that, the more we suffer. Therefore, if we go try to like remove those layers and go to the deeper layers, then we would be closer to reducing suffering.
Is the point of reducing the layers in order to discover something closer to the truth, or to acknowledge that there isn't something coherent at the bottom?
Both.
Which one is more?
I think for most people, including myself, like there's something called like don't know mind in Zen Buddhism, like which
What's
is
that?
like being comfortable with uncertainty.
Okay.
And
I'd
like,
call that being in the
recognizing
army.
that state, like the state of uncertainty, like feels really bad at first, but is actually probably potentially more comforting place.
Is it more comforting, or is it just like a place where you're
You're
not
sticking to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so there's more like like I hate the word, but agency in that space, because you have more vectors of movement available to oneself when there is no attachment to a certain story, right? So
what's
it's
the
like
difference
it gives
between
you more
that?
fundamental like layers of intellectual movement, but which might allow you to discover the truth or victability truth.
Is there a difference between that and like a pure application of the scientific method?
I think there's a lot of like commonalities, but because you know we're usually swimming in a soup of stories, it's not as clean.
But what
So I
makes
mean,
it
the scientific
different?
method is also not as clean as it people say it is.
But what makes it different?
It's not as easy to like isolate a variable in your life. Like at least that I've tried, right? So like I don't know how to design like multivariate scientific experiments really well. I'm sure there's some scientists who know how to do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like, you know, it's just a harder thing to do.
Gotcha. Chat, I don't know if we've asked this before, but do you think a Frosty is a milkshake?
Okay, I know. This seems like a non sequitur coming from Cameron. But it's been one of our biggest debates. Which relates to like black and white thinking.
It's an important philosophical question.
And I want to have like I hope all of you have access to Wendy's, you know, the fast food place, because we're talking about Wendy's Frosties specifically. So it's almost like this is the Rorschach test of black and white thinking. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Starting out with a strong opinion that it's soft ice cream. Christian, science says no, woo-woo says yes. I mean, Celine, I think you have seen through the test.
So when you asked me that, I said no, right?
No, I think you said yes.
I'm certain of my answer.
You said yes.
The Frosty is a milkshake?
I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure?
I mean, we probably answered yes and no multiple times.
Yeah. I think at some point I said, well, No, because it's not that milky.
Yeah, it's like, not viscous enough, but it comes in a milkshake cup.
Yes. And it's essentially the only milkshake-like thing you can get from Wendy's. But you became quite obsessed with this question.
I will be trying to answer this question for the rest of my life.
And
But like the problem is like when somebody responds yes, what they're basically doing is throwing a gauntlet down that this falls into the category of milkshake. And then the thing that I feel compelled to pursue is, what are the characteristics of the class milkshake? And when does something exit that class, or when does it enter that class? Because if a Frosty's not a milkshake, which could be, could not. If it melts for 30 minutes, is it now a milkshake? If I put a straw in it, is it now a milkshake? Because if the viscosity is the thing that stops it from being one, is that it? Or do I need to put it in the mixer for another 30 seconds? Like what can you do to transform the Frosty from milkshake into not milkshake and back?
so,
What's the alchemical process?
well, Cool Bean says it comes in a cup, not in a milkshake cup, and I do have to agree. Like, you cannot.
What are you talking about?
It's just a normal cup.
That's true.
But doesn't this whole argument prove that words are relative categories and there's no absolute definition?
Yes, but we haven't been debating that ever. And we have to be able to categorize things as milkshake or not. Or else what's the point?
This is like the is hot dog a sandwich argument.
I mean, I think if the bun is attached, it's a taco. If it's not, then it's a sandwich.
Oh.
Like attached to it, like the
What
difference
if it accidentally breaks, as hot dog buns do?
Then it transforms from taco to sandwich at the moment that the bun snaps. That's the definition for me.
I need Cool Beans, the hot dog expert, to weigh in on this.
Yes, and as well, like when you put a milkshake in the freezer, does it stop being a milkshake the moment it freezes solid?
Yeah.
These are the questions that we answer.
I want to know about the European definition of milkshake. Because I feel like, actually, like maybe like the Europeans would love your argument, because I feel like they're much more about definitional foods because of the whole protectionism situation.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I was about to say, no, that's just the Germans, but the French are really particular about food.
Yeah, and Italians, right? Like only their cheese can be like Parmesan and Reggiano DOP or whatever.
Tacos come in a tortilla, flour or corn tortilla. When does a tortilla become a piece of bread? If I squish a bread down into a tortilla shape, is it a tortilla or is it the baking process? All of these things I want to know.
Yeah, and Celine raises a great point. We really never really asked the ice cream about what it is, nor what it wants. Rude animism alert.
Look, I'll die on the hill of I'm not gonna worry about my ice cream's feelings.
Oh. And when do humans become molecules?
Whenever I scratch my arm.
Oh, that's true. Little skin flakes are falling off.
But so like all of this is a silly exercise in.
Oh, actually no, you actually brought up a really great point. Okay, so
surprisingly,
your skin flakes coming off.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually one of these like Buddhist like questions people like teachers like to like bring up, right? Like when your hair or your skin, like when your hair skin attached to you, you're like, oh yeah, this is me. And we spend a lot of time styling our hair or whatever. But when it falls into the bathroom drain, we're like, ew, gross, right? Like, or your fingernails or whatever. When we clip them, we're like, ew, it becomes like gross and not part of us. But where does that definition come in, right? When is something you and something not you? So in that way, they really love to play with definitions.
You weren't here for the Andy Anderson bit, were you?
Mm-mm.
So Andy Anderson's a skater, and he's a phenomenal skater, but he's also double famous because he always wears a helmet, and he like wore a helmet coming up, and so like skaters made fun of him, but he could rip, and so like wearing a helmet is kind of now cool in skateboarding because he does it, which is incredible. But he wears a helmet, and he's kind of like philosophical, but he's basically like, bro, your brain is you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't view my body as me. I can't, because I have so many parts of it that like have failed me and are continuing to fail me, that if I found myself in those parts, obviously I do in parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I am well on my way in the process of like, my body and the things that I do aren't necessarily me.
Mm-hmm.
Do with it aren't necessarily me. But like fingernails, I guess I don't paint my nails, so that is like I always view my body as a representation of how people are going to see me, but I feel like that's different than me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So what if you're one day, like, as many of us may experience, like we become demented and lose our brain as well? Then what?
Then I'm dead. A different me exists, but Cameron is dead. Just like
So,
the Cameron who is 20 years old is also dead, and the Cameron from 5 minutes ago is dead.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, I am a function like of the cross product of all of the previous versions of me, but
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think I'm the same person that I was 30 seconds ago.
So how do you function knowing that? Like, I'm genuinely curious because I feel like you are definitionally correct, but very much like the questions you asked me, it's like, well, like, sure, this is true, but then like a ship of Theseus sort of situation, how do you go about your life?
Well, okay. So this was also like I went on a myth of Sisyphus rant, and
Mm-hmm.
like the fundamental thing there, and the difference between like a religious person and not, in the context of this essay, series of essays, is like acknowledging the absurdity of the world in a lucid way, and like the world, the universe, existence, and all of the things that you do thereafter, if you do them with consciousness of this insanity and lucidity,
Mm-hmm.
is a direct act in rebellion to that absurdity. And that collection of experiences that you have in that state is the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, different Cameron now versus different Cameron when he's writing a story, which is like when I say I love stories, I'm saying I love the myriad and infinite human lives that you can experience through story. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Whether like consuming or reading or just daydreaming in your or like writing or just daydreaming. Like, I love the vastness of that experience, and series of experiences. And so different Cameron having a different experience is a plus, as long as I'm like honest about where everything is at every moment in time. And obviously, like, I have beers and stuff like that where I'm like dulling the insanity periodically, because that's just being a human in a bag of meat. But the majority of the time, I'm really trying to face that contradiction head on, and that's how I live with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's beautiful.
A lot of people find it horrifying.
Oh. Oh, I know. But I feel like on a practical level, though, sometimes I'm like, oh man, yesterday Kristen left me with these tasks. This
Oh
blows.
yeah, past Cameron is a dick, dude.
Oh.
Real. Past Cameron has never been hungover.
Oh, yeah?
It's always tomorrow, Cameron.
Exactly. All right. Well, I apologize again for the technical issues that I'm horrified by having to troubleshoot. By the way, because
I've
it
already
like
let it
it
go.
only happens like now when I'm trying to live stream with you, and not ever. So it's almost like really hard to troubleshoot because it's like some weird hardware acceleration issue or something.
The magic rectangle knows that we're too close to the truth and is trying to restrain us.
That's what I thought as well.
Thank you everybody for coming. Christin, I appreciate your Sisyphus-like task of getting on today.
Well, thank you for your patience, and thanks for holding up while I was in uninstalling land.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are going to take a hiatus for like 4 weeks. You'll see it on the feed, but basically, like, Chris and I got a lot going on, but we're incredibly grateful that we get to hang out with y'all, and then maybe we'll do something in the interim. I don't know, but I don't want to commit to anything.
Oh, yeah, we're unattached to commitments, but
Life's
yeah,
pretty crazy.
I maybe we need to figure out a way to make this even simpler to do on the fly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody. Have a great rest of your day.